Hello, everybody. Geraldine Rose is waiting for her stamped timber orders to show up, so she's finishing thank you cards for new subscribers. This one's Halloween, coffee, and a thank you. And it's mixed media. Oh, my chicken. Here we are again. The adventure commences with me trying to remember what it is I did in these cards. I remember wanting to use that Spellbinders water lilies frames because I thought it would go really well with the gothic kind of Halloween theme, and the running jacks border just to edge it at the bottom. Somehow I got the brilliant idea that it would be completely possible to combine Halloween and coffee. So that's what I'm trying to do. That's the Simon Says stamp. That's the Coffee Friends set. And I'm doing some paper piecing here. So I'm picking pieces out of that paper that is Halloween themed for like the outside saucer and then the portion of the cup that's showing. And then I'm going to get a little bit on the inside for where the brew is as well. You can see I'm just stamping that down. I think I was using one of the Copic friendly ink. Yep, that is indeed the honeybee. It's the intense black. I'm doing it twice to get a better image. This is the part where I'm grabbing the green along the top just because I thought it'd be good to have green coffee for Halloween. Carrying in my colors. Fussy cutting it out. There's a lot of fussy cutting in this one actually. Someone told me that I must have an awful lot of patience, and I think it's more I'm just trying to see how much I can fit on one particular card and still have it go through the mail without having to pay oversize, which I've had to do a few times because they've been past 5 millimeters. So I'm just grabbing out my alcohol markers there, and when you paper piece, it helps to actually just do a bit of shading so that it doesn't look so odd compared to the rest of the card. Putting what would be the front of the cup there down to differentiate from the saucer in the back, and here's the part where we're going in with our green Halloween coffee brew. Now I've seen a lot of Halloween cards lately, and it seems everybody's doing a lot of the bat stencils or the bat die cuts over top of like the eerie moons. I wanted to do something different, so I'm carrying on the paper piecing theme, and I'm actually cutting the bats out with some dies that I've got, and I'm going to put different papers behind. Now you all know from my videos that I already was in love with the mica sprays, and I've fallen in love with the spritzes. So we're using both on this. We're using the spice marmalade, the wilted violet, and the twisted citron in the spritz. The micas were jack-o'-lantern, the bubbling cauldron, and ominous twilight from the Halloween set. We're letting those merge together somewhat. I am trying, though, to keep the purple, the orange, and the green in certain areas on the card so that it doesn't look like too much of a hodgepodge. You can see how the panel's starting to bow up there a little bit. I should have spritzed the back first. I did end up doing that with a little bit of water to help it flatten out. And while it's drying, I'm going to just deepen along the bottom. I think that's probably with ripe persimmon. Onto the inside of the cards, grabbing out an oldie but a goodie, the picket fence, coffee understands. So many good sentiments on this one. I did it in green tones, and then I went over top of it with a yellow tone. You get this really neat effect in the middle of the ink as it dries. Try it sometime, you'll actually see. I also grabbed back the Simon Says stamp baddie stencil, and my blending brush, what was left on it for the black, I just used that so that they were like really faint in the background, like fog flying through the back of the card behind the sentiment. We're going to mirror that on the front of the card too with that same stencil, but in a different manner. You'll see. Now, my British raised mother grew up during the Depression, and if I had a loony or toonie for every time I heard waste not, want not, or if you can't save a penny, you can't save a pound, which is why I'm taking the die cuts that we had chopped out of the front and putting them on the inside. Also because, you know me, I like putting everything but the kitchen sink in there. Here's where I'm putting on the different pattern papers behind those front die cuts, and looking at it now, this middle one, the middle bat, I should have put another lighter colored piece of paper behind it. It still works. You can still see it. You have to kind of tilt the card a little bit. And the same thing with this one. I actually themed on the Halloween again, and I put a little ghosty in behind there and the little top bat. Here, starting to put everything together and doing the running jacks along the bottom. I tucked it in part of the little flaps that Spellbinder frame die set had. And then, of course, you can see here, we're going to tuck the coffee mug in behind that as well. So we've got the orange, we've got the green, we've got the purples up at the top, we've got the bats in as well. Obviously taking my time deciding on where that mug needed to sit. This is one of the rare times I'm actually using glue tape. But then I'm like, no, it's not going to hold. It's not going to be good enough. Get the glue out. So there's the Simon out. There's the Craft Tacky glue. And this was using the Distress. It's the black opaque texture paste. That stuff is awesome for Halloween. If you use some press and seal, it's going to last an awful lot longer. That jar is actually from last year, and it's a little bit thicker, but you can see it's still spreading. I'm making certain not to push it under the stencil and just smoothing it off across the top here. Okay, here's the scary part for me. Getting it off the grip mat with my long nails, although they're not really too long right now, and my carpal tunnel, and not wrecking the paste. Bonus tip, make certain the inside of the car is facing the right way before you put the front panel on. Follow me for more life-changing pro tips. Now the doofusy thing is, even though I knew what components I wanted on the front with like the coffee cup and the bats, I had no idea what I was going to do for words. I went hunting through my stash and I found the Sizzix thank you banner. I got some green vellum out. You can see that's what I've die cut out there now. And of course, here's me with always taking forever to place it on. Next, so I'll go fishing through my bag of Simon Says stamps, the reverse lucky sentiments. I thought the black would go really well, of course, with Halloween. Got one that was going to work. Used one of my markers to darken up the edges so that the core doesn't show through. I ended up splitting this in half, putting them in kind of a little bit of wonky because it works well with Halloween, right? I'm like, okay, this is starting to work. I'm enjoying this. Tapping 2 fingers on the side of my head, staring at it, thinking, what else do I enjoy? My Halloween bling bling. I've got those purple and black stars, and I've got the sprinkles with the ghosties, and I've got the hollow orange spiders. I could throw those on there. Oh, and then the bone for stirring the coffee cauldron cup. And then the cup itself, the inside the coffee, I could put all of my little micro beads and my little gold and bronzy and my black beads in there to make it look like it's bubbling away. Oh, and if I used the Nouveau Tulle drops, then it would add it up even farther, and I could have like different tones going through there and have the bubbles coming up even farther, which you can see I did. I'm going to have to really squash these things down, though, to make certain that they stay in there, considering how many I've got on there. The same thing that you're going to see. Flip it over, tap them out. Make certain these things aren't flying off at her when she brings it out of the envelope. Anywho, I figured I'd better try tying the coffee in, so I got out my Close to My Heart, picked out some of my coffee stamps, Whole Latte Love and Coffee Helps, pulled just the coffee word from it, used VersaFine Black, used the Ranger Black Sparkle Embossing Powder for it, just to see which of these is actually going to end up looking the best. Did that on some purple foil paper, which is really problematic when you're trying to melt the powder with your heat gun. To ask me how I know this, you can see the curl on that one. The other one melted. So I've got out some of my double-sided adhesive paper. I've put that on the back, and now I'm fussy cutting it out. I am going to back this with another layer of an orange foil to stiffen it up a little bit so that it doesn't sink down in between the coffee mug and the running jacks there. Placing it on, and not finished. Decided she wanted to go put a coffee mug on the inside as well too. Grabbed one of the Close to My Heart ones that I had out, used some of the Lost Shadow ink, grabbed out the alcohol markers, did it in really light tones because I knew it was going to bleed through the back of the card, and you can see that later when I flip it over. Finally, grabbing out one of my custom stamps, bringing in some more of the orange here for this to finish out this thank you card for this crafty friend from one of my card groups. And she is an incredible lady, so I'm really happy that I sort of brought this together for her, because she's always one of those ones that's really helpful and has always got a kind comment for everybody. So I'm kind of happy that I got this for her. So you be the change you want to see in the world too, and have some fun out there. Thanks everybody. Bye-bye.